Hi, everybody. Happy Saturday. It's Elektra Yao, entertainment lawyer and artist visa lawyer. It's Saturday. I'm excited to be with you guys today, especially the Saturday before the holidays. So I wanted to talk about something that comes up all the time. It's a part of the immigration world. It's something that you will see at least maybe one time throughout your immigration process. So I want to talk about RFEs, and I want to kind of explain three different things that are almost always present in RFEs. And in my firm, I separate RFEs into two separate categories. So I have what I call technical RFEs and merit-based RFEs. So we're not going to talk about technical RFEs because those are basically like approvals. You just need to fulfill these very simple requirements. So an example of a technical RFE is, for example, missing the consultation letter. So that's just a matter of you and your attorney sending in the union packet to whatever union and getting that letter and sending it back. There's no arguing the merits of your case. So we're not going to talk about technical RFEs because they're not really that interesting. We're going to talk about the elephant in the room, the merit-based RFEs, which are difficult for a couple of reasons. So I want to preface the merit-based RFEs by saying a lot of the times it's not your lawyer's fault. Again, if you started off your process correctly, you had a strategy session, your attorney understood the scope of your work, what you wanted to do, contracts are properly drafted, testimonials are properly drafted, and when I mean properly drafted, I mean proper people were selected, so experts were selected, and the letters are detailed. So both the contracts detail what you're going to do in the future, and the testimonials detail your expertise and your specific achievements, right? Portfolio is clean, portfolio is nice. So if you started off on the right foot and you get an RFE, chances are it's not your attorney's fault, and I'll tell you why. We're going to talk about the three different things that you need to know about an RFE. So the first thing that is almost always apparent in these merit-based RFEs is the misinterpretation or the misapplication of the law. What does this mean? This basically means that the officer is mixing up the O1 legal standard with another legal standard, or they're mixing up the rules for one visa with the O1. Let me give you an example. So let's say, for example, you are a theater person or you're a graphic designer, you're a filmmaker, whatever you are, and you have language in your RFE that says something like the person has not, there's no evidence that the person has contributed to, the economic success of the company. Well, for people who know the arts, which is obviously not the officer, for people who know the arts, we know that the art world is not like a traditional company where you've got like a head person, and then you've got like supervisors, and then you've got managers, and then you've got employees. In the art world, it takes a lot of different players who are very important to make a production happen, or to make a billboard happen, or to make a painting happen. It's not always so hierarchical like it is in the real world or like the business world. And that language about talking about how you are supposed to have contributed to the economic success of the production or the company or the project that you're working on is the officer mixing up L1A language, L1B language, E2 language. So visas that are for investors and for business managers has nothing to do with what you do as an artist, number one. It has nothing to do with the O1B regulations. So that's usually when I see that, I know that the following two things are going to happen. So the following two things are the debasing of your expertise. So what does that mean? I mean, they are belittling what you are doing, or they're belittling your achievements or your accomplishments, or they're not giving it the proper importance that they should. And when they don't do that, when they don't give the proper importance, or they don't give the proper deference to what you've done, that just shows to me that they're really not understanding, or really not invested, or really not engaged in what you're doing. They're kind of just brushing off who you are and what your achievements are. Then we go down to what almost always happens, and this is ignoring your expertise. So they will say things like, well, your testimonial letters are great, but they're just talking about how great you are. Usually properly drafted testimonial letters will discuss your expertise, will discuss how you did something and the impact or the effect of what you've done. So the letters are not complimentary, as they often say in their RFEs. The letters are actually pretty detailed. And if they're saying things like the letters are complimentary, they're number one, again, misapplying the law, because the legal standard for or the rules for significant recognition from industry experts is basically that you need to have a letter from an expert. There, you satisfy the standard. The law doesn't really touch upon the content of that letter. Just the fact that you've received such letter, that is you fulfilling significant recognition. So number one, that tells me they're not applying the standard or the law correctly. Number two, they're debasing you, they're belittling you, they're not really taking into consideration all the hard work and energy of your work and the impact that it's had. Hi, Sajan, thank you for commenting. And number three, they're ignoring what you're doing. And when they ignore what you do, they also ignore your portfolio. They also ignore all of the evidence. So these are common things that happen with RFEs. Sometimes you'll only have one of these things. Sometimes you'll have all of these things. But it's really important to, number one, figure out what your strategy is. And number two, and I'll touch upon this in part 2 of our video, is my strategy is to always talk to, well, you know, explain to them what their error is, but always also satisfy their requests. So again, if you do receive an RFE, if an RFE does happen in your case, if you started off on the proper foot, so if your case was set up in the way that it was supposed to be set up, so proper letters, proper testimonials, clean portfolio, you know, a properly put together portfolio and a properly put together case, if you get an RFE, chances are it's not the fault of your attorney, number one, and chances are, number two, it's due to the deficiency of the officer that is understanding or reviewing and evaluating your case. So 3 things, I just want to recap these 3 things that often happen with RFEs is you'll see, number one, a misinterpretation or misapplication of the law. So i.e. the officer taking the rules for a different visa type and applying it to O1B. Number 2, you'll usually see a debasing of your experience or a debasing of your expertise, meaning them not really acknowledging all of the work that you've done. And number 3, ignoring your expertise. And if the second 2 things happen, that's basically them ignoring your portfolio. That's basically them not understanding or not going through your portfolio properly. And if that happens, then like I said, you need to have proper strategy. So I hope that this was helpful. I hope that this gives you a little bit of clarity on what are the different overarching themes when you receive a merit-based RFE. Obviously, all RFEs are different. All RFEs, if you received an RFE, you know, this may or may not apply to you, but I think that in most RFEs that we see, you'll usually see these 3 themes that are present. So stay tuned for part 2 of our video, where we're going to talk about different strategies that you can employ to fight a RFE successfully. It's Saturday, the sun is out, so you guys should go outside and do your Christmas shopping if that's what you celebrate. But stay tuned. Hopefully next week, Monday or Tuesday, I can do a part 2 on different strategies you can employ to successfully fight your RFE and stay here in this country. So please like this video, share this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, subscribe to my Facebook page, so that you can get different information and different resources about different visa types. Please like, share this video, comment on this video. Let me know if there are different topics that you want me to cover, and I'd be happy to talk about them and give you more clarity. Bye, everyone. Have a great weekend.